Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who's joining us for this webinar. Um, I'm happy to, provide this webinar along with my colleagues, Ranjit and Juan. We will be talking about transitioning to PAM 4.0 for both OEMs and suppliers for the next 30 minutes. And with that, we will dive right in. Let me introduce my colleagues in case you already don't know them. I have Juan Webb. Juan's our Associate Director for E-Mobility Services at Omnex, and he's a seasoned expert with over 30 years in multi-industry experience in both regulated and non-regulated environments. He's done automotive, aerospace, semiconductor, you name it, he's done it. And he is also an ASPICE competent instructor for INTAX courses. He's a Volkswagen Squill and also a regional representative for North America for INTAX. And also he leads our e-mobility services. Thank you, and we are glad to have you here, Juan. We have also Ranjit Chabra. Ranjit is our principal consultant and trainer for ASPICE. Again, he's also got an illustrious career spanning multiple decades, and he is also teaching our INTAX ASPICE courses. Ranjit also has a great background in both automotive SPICE, cybersecurity, machine learning, agile, and also traditional quality management systems. And he's done numerous assessments similar to Juan as well. We are also glad to have you here in this webinar, Ranjit. And quick intro about myself. I lead the consulting operations for Omnex in North America, and I'm also a principal assessor and a Volkswagen Squill, and also do a lot of these ASPICE implementations, assessments, and more. And we also do integrated implementations that involve ISO 9001 and the similar standards that go alongside it. Now, very quickly, I'll introduce Omnex. So a lot of you might be returning to our webinars, and this might be your nth webinar, or this might be your first time joining us. If it's the first time, welcome, and to everybody who's returning, welcome again. About Omnex, we are headquartered in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Our offices are spread across the world. We have about 16 worldwide offices. We've done training for more than 500,000 individuals around the globe in more than 18 plus different languages. The organization has been in existence for more than 4 decades and work in numerous industries, including automotive, aerospace, semiconductor, medical devices, and also food as well. And we have a team of more than 900 employees around the world, and a lot of our subject matter experts serve in the board for a lot of these industries. I mean, a lot of these standards in the authoring committees. We are right now in the committees for the next rewrite of the ISO 26262 or the functional safety standard. So we have our SMEs contributing to that. We also have our SMEs in the SOTIF and the cybersecurity ISO SAE 21434 and the SOTIF 21448 spaces as well, besides a whole lot of other areas that we contribute to. And again, we are glad to have all of them as part of our team. A quick look at our global footprint and where our offices are based out of. So if you have an office close to where you're joining us from, feel free to check them out and get more information about it. All right, so today's webinar, we will be focusing on the e-mobility vertical within our expertise. So we will focus on automotive SPICE and what key changes have come in PAM 4.0. So the agenda is set as forth. I'll start off with a quick introduction to ASPICE, hand over the mic to Ranjit. He will take us through the key changes and some of the training architecture, and then Juan will be helping us understand some of the market trends and how the adoption has been taking place, and also we'll summarize. So we have a lot of good updates that we wanted to share with you since the last one we did in Q4 of 2025. So we are looking forward to sharing that with you. Assuming a lot of you already know about what automotive SPICE is, you probably don't need the slide and intro, but I'm sure there's some of you still want to know what automotive SPICE is. Why automotive SPICE, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it is a framework for designing and assessing system, software, and hardware development processes. The goal is that if you implement it effectively, you get better processes and also, at the end, better product quality. Read about all that news about recalls because of software, embedded system failures, hardware electronics. Automotive Spice goal is to help minimize all of that so that you have better product coming out at the end of your development. Big change going into PAM 4.0 is the S in SPICE now stands for systems. I know a lot of you may not have caught that because everybody thought S means software. That was a common thing that, I'm sure Juan, Ranjit, all of us, we battled through that with everybody we talked to about ASPICE. Oh, it's a software standard. No, not really. It's system. So glad to see that big change. S stands for systems. So system process improvement capability determination. Here's a quick look at the framework. Ranjit will be taking you through more of the detail on this later. But just a quick recap, if you look at it, the big change here is hardware seems to have been included. So you can see a big change there. There's also machine learning and a few other changes. Ranjit will walk you through more of that detail in the upcoming slides. But before we get things started, a quick poll to get a sense of, what we have here. So we have two polling questions. We can take a quick, thank you for that, Kelsey. Appreciate it. So if you can quickly mark those check boxes on the pop-up that has shown up on your screen, and then we can go on to the next slide. So we'll give you another 30 seconds or something to just go through those options and mark it. So the first one is, which framework do you work with? Choose all that apply. So you can do multi-selection there. ASPICE PAM 4.0, ISO 26262, 21448, and product cybersecurity, ISO SAE 21434. And after you do that, number two, what stage of ASPICE PAM 3.1 to 4.0 are you in? So just starting to understand, we received our first ASPICE PAM 4.0 project RFQ, which is sometimes a lot of the case here that we encounter. Third one, in the process of making the transition inside my organization. And lastly, we've already implemented ASPICE PAM 4.0 in at least one or more projects. That's also possible because we've seen that happen last year. So please mark your answers. Okay, great. So we can see, almost all of you have ASPICE PAM 4.0, functional safety and product cybersecurity in there. And then, interestingly, 29% of you have already implemented ASPICE PAM 4.0 in at least one project. That's interesting because that means you know how this is already important. And then we have the remaining already making their move towards PAM 4.0. So good information. That sort of helps us understand how to tailor the remaining session as we deliver this material. Now passing the mic over to Ranjit. So Ranjit, feel free to take forward on this.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you so much for the setting up the tone and for the introduction. So just a quick, I'll just, sorry, okay. So as Nikhil, you just talked about the ASPICE 4.0. I think it's a very big topic that what exactly is there. It will be really difficult to cover everything in 10, 15 minutes, but I'll try my best, whatever the best that I can, deliver in terms of understanding. I'll not take much time, straight to the topic. As we can see here, can you go to the next slide? So there are three main groups. So I hope all of you have a fair amount of idea about ASPICE. So as we know that there were 8 groups earlier, 3 groups are added. And accordingly, there are 10 processes which has been added. And that is something which is very substantial change, one of the major change that we're talking about. As Nikhil just pointed out, it's not only SPICE is not earlier, it was we used to call it software process improvement, not a system. So to give that preview, so hardware was a very important part to be, something to be made an integral part of ASPICE, and which had there a lot of discussion even since when 26262 got released. Machine learning, that is a new group which was added, and along with the validation and one process in support area, which was part of the new ASPICE framework. There are many processes which were removed, but coincidentally, the number of processes remains same. It was 32 earlier, it is still 32. So that is something which is there. Now, as the new groups were added, new processes were added. So obviously, the VDA scope was something which to be redefined. However, the core VDA scope remains the same. The essence remains the same. However, the representation is made a little bit different. As you can see here, now when we talk about VDA scope, it does not straight away talk about the 16 processes. That is with the system, software, and the project management and support for processes. Now the project management and support processes, these are the 5 processes which are called as base processes. With that, we can add any plugin as part of your VDA scope. So if you have only systems, you can add system. If you have only software, you have and software or system, software, hardware, machine learning, any plugins. But however, if we take system, software, and the basic processes, it will be the same VDA scope that we know about. However, the rest of the processes, so earlier the VDA scope was not inclusive of all 32 processes. Now the VDA scope talks about all 32 in this format, along with the plugins and the optional processes, as you can see there in the bottom green part, which talks about all the optional processes. If you have supplier, then you can add ACQ4. If you have, if you want to want to add product release or validation, risk management, measurement as per your needs and requirements. So this is what the recommended VDA scope is all about. However, the core remains the same. It is ultimately the sponsor to decide what exactly he wants. But yes, this time the basic need to be there. This is what we've just covered right now, so I won't go in much detail because this is the 10 processes which were removed, basically all the ACQ processes and supply verification, supply tendering verification, joint review, which were sort of overlapping and did not add that much value. Of course, every process is important, but however, I think the authors considered that point of view, and accordingly, the new processes were added, the hardware, machine learning, and validation groups. So these are 3 which are added. Now there was one more major change in terms of the process names. As we know that like earlier, the process names were testing, like you can see here from the right side of the V, sorry. We used to call them testing process. However, there was always a, sort of confusion, or you can say clarity, when we talk about non-functional requirements, sometimes process requirements, or like even when the hardware is added. So we have calculations, we have visual inspections. Now these can't be covered under the testing framework, or you can say testing terminology. Verification gives a broader perspective, and this is what we do. And that is testing is of course an integral part of verification. So in order to cover all these aspects, the term is now, which is more, you can say, which covers all types of verification activities, including the testing. Of course, testing still remains an integral part of verification. However, in order to accommodate all other types of verification, the term verification was changed in all the right side of the V. There's one more thing, reuse. So this process was also renamed, because reuse is not only covering, earlier the reuse were more into organizational level, now it is more project oriented. So it's a detailed one. If you go through the process, you will come to know more about it. So yeah, the next slide, please. Just a summary of all these changes. As I told you, this is a very big topic, but I'll just focus on the key points. The first 3 points we have already covered up to a certain extent. I'll emphasize on another major point, that was work products. Now, work products, as we know that every process has a work product as in one of the indicator. So as you can say, as part of the process framework, so attribute. So we have base practices, we have work products. Now, that work product actually, of course, I won't say that it was something which is everybody's understanding, but yeah, there was a lot of, like, especially the new assessors, or in terms of, always used to demonstrate, not only from the assessor point of view, but from the implementer point of view, that we need a standalone document in order to fulfill that work product, in order to meet that requirement or the characteristics. Now that was not the case actually. It work product was a symbolic term. Basically, as you know, PAM, when we talk about PAM, that is process assessment model, right? As an assessor, you don't look into any standalone document. You look into the information, what you're looking at. If you are asking about a requirement, so you're looking into a requirement, not as a requirement specification document. It can be in Polarian, it can be in Jira, it can be a problem, can be in Jira or any place. So again, there's a lot of, we can talk about that. But to keep the long story short, in order to give an impression or an understanding from the implementers and assessors, especially point of view, the term work product is now changed to information items. That is what an assessor or an implementer should look to, demonstrate or implement in their organization. The next three bullets, I would give more into, I would say, somewhat more changed has been there more what from a understanding and after analyzing a lot of results, assessment results. The first one is traceability and consistency. A lot of time we have seen that traceability is given F, consistency P. Now, when we see both these practices together, the overall understanding that because without consistency, the traceability does not give that value. In fact, both the base practices were very complementing each other, and the weaknesses, which were termed, was even though it was termed, but again, that comprehensive understanding of that, it was not there, which can add value to that practice. Because if I say traceability is very good and there's no consistency, then obviously that traceability does not make much sense. So now that has been combined and consistency has been emphasized. That is, now it is ensure consistency and establish traceability. Verification criteria, again the same thing. BP1 verification specify the requirements, BP2 verification criteria, P specify requirements, F doesn't make much sense. If my requirement can only be considered as F, it has clear verification criteria defined. Similar in design, BP1 design and BP2 interfaces, and if BP1 is F, it means that my interfaces are well defined. Now, considering all this implementation, and especially the, you can say, assessment constraints. So from the assessment or assessor's point of view, this has been done. And in general also, it is valid, or it makes sense that, when I talk about design means, of course, the interfaces are a very integral part and has to be part of my design. So that why these were removed and no separate VPN and part of the requirement and the design BP. When we talk about integration, earlier it was only emphasized on the interfaces. So now the component behavior was not much emphasized. So that has been emphasized in this strategy. Now, this is something a very big topic, but just to keep the long story short, strategy at level 1 was leading to a lot of level 2 questions, level 2 implementation, especially the outputs of these were planned. Not only from the implementer's point of view, from the assessor's point of view, we were digging a lot into the planning part. So just considering that problem, and that is not what the actually that was not the intent of making the strategy at level 1. However, to keep that clarity, now the strategy has been part of level 2 instead of base practice. Level 3 GPs, as if you recollect, there were 5 in 3.1 and 6 GPs in 3.2, and there were a lot of always you can say toggle that which maps to which GP, and we always had that mapping. But now it is very clear 1:1 correspondence, 4 GPs at PA 3.1 and 4 at PA 3.2. With 4.0, the guideline also got released. The core changes in guideline was the first thing, that is the scope is now 32 processes, not only 16 which were earlier in 3.1. Recommendations, there were a lot of recommendations. Again, they are removed now. Of course, they are integral part of somewhat you can say part of the guideline, but yeah, now they're only rules. And again, rules need to be followed. If not, you need to put it part of your report with justification. one most important thing that usage of guidelines is now mandatory. Earlier, it was basically you can say, we always used to ask that, okay, whether the sponsor would like to have this assessment following the guideline or not the guideline. It's not the case anymore. Guideline, any ASPICE assessment means guideline need to be means you have to understand that or implement that in that ASPICE assessment. VDA scope, we already talked about that. Now, this is one point. This is a very recent development which has been happened. Of course, this is not something which is very much correlated with 4.0, but as you know, that there has been a lot of discussion since years, like to make ASPICE assessments registered. Of course, in line with CMMI that we have. So now that is a very major, like you can say, uh, development which has happened very recently from 1st of Jan. Now you can register your assessment with VDA. And that's the whole process. Not complicated, very simple process. Any assessing organization, if Omnex does an assessment, the Omnex assessor will take your data that we can see in the next slide. It will fill all the information in terms of which company address, along with the assessment scope, processes, process profile and all. Send it to VDA. They will just verify, and you need to pay a particular amount, 375 euros, I guess, as of now. That is as of now, not I is not guessing. Right now, the 375 euros. And then there will be a QR code which will be shared, and that you can put along with your certificate, and assessing organizations could now freely use Automotive Spice trademark that logo. Earlier, it was not allowed to be used. So if you want the logo, if you want your assessments to be registered, you can use this can be done, and we can discuss about it. You can find more information in the VDA website. With
Maybe
the new
Ranjit,
change,
since we're
yeah,
running short on time, maybe I'll
yeah,
quickly
sure,
summarize the training architecture. I
yeah, sure,
think,
please.
again, we would, all recommend, in case you haven't seen, there is a longer webinar that goes into the training architecture updates from 2025 that we've done a separate webinar on. Please do check it out on omnex.com. But just to let you all know, if you are an intact certified assessor, and if you're on 3.1, you should have taken the 1 day training and upgraded to 4.0. There's also an inclusion of a combined training lane that's a 7 day. So earlier we did not have this concept of process expert. It was directly provisional. Now you have a process expert, which is now before provisional. So you can either take a process expert and then become a provisional with separate exams, or just do a 7 day combined. That's a big change we've seen. And from there, one quick update also. Omnex is also going to be providing trainings with ECQA. We've been the first organization in North America to provide trainings with VDA QMC, and we provide in all of these areas, be it the process expert, provisional assessor, or the combined or competent assessor potential analysis. We're also going to get into the ECQA, which is for the mechanical spice and the agile spice as well. So just a quick update for you on that. And I pass the mic on to Juan. I know we're sort of running a little bit short on time. Sorry about that, Juan. Go ahead.
Nikhil, thank you. So what we'll do, we'll take this through pretty quick. So the market adoption from 3.1 to 4.0, the key here is that 3.1 is still valid, but 4.0 is considered state of the art. So that's where a lot of organizations are heading to. And OEMs are slowly but surely increasing their requests for organizations to upgrade. So the key with that is that there are resource limitations within organizations. Maybe you have existing commitments, or you've already invested in the compliance of 3.1. So determining the effort associated with that is really what is driving some of the hesitation for organizations, and the challenges of which additional plugins am I going to add to my organization, right? And then internally, there may be a short of trained process guys or trained assessors, or even just the other practitioners that you have in your organization. So these are some of the things that have been slowing up the transition. But But even though we know that there's a benefit for organizations to start the shift because it provides you a little bit more flexibility and a more of a systems approach to dealing with automotive spice. Nikhil, if you could go to the next slide for me. So the key with this is that, if you're preparing for the transition to 4.0, you need to really look at the readiness of your organization, the expectations of the OEMs as well. So to do that, take a look at training and start building that capability with, inside, having ongoing training programs. Nikhil mentioned quickly the new training architecture for process experts and provisional assessors, right? So you can start by educating the people within your organization without having to commit to being an assessor. All right, and then look at, the upgrade. If you have internal assessors, the upgrade to 4.0, that training started last year. And then, if you're interested in, any of the extensions, as you start looking at that, if your organization is dealing with products that are communicating across different buses, looking at cybersecurity, if you have, some type of, machine learning in your product, you want to look at how that's being managed with the adoption of 4.0 as well. And then some of the expectations is that, as OEMs start to shift, right, we can look toward the end of Q3, just based on some of the communications we have where suppliers are going to be asked to transition from one to the other, depending on the program. If the program's at its end, OEMs are probably most likely not going to ask you to transition. But as you start to develop new programs or to make changes, these are discussions that you really need to have with your organization. And then so by the end of 2026 and onward, we expect 4.0 really to be the standard for ASPICE. Really, if not because OEMs are asking, internally because it is considered what is the latest and greatest process. So start to look at, using that for your newer programs, even without the external push. And as of right now, we do have access to at least 6 OEMs that are actively talking to their tier ones about adopting 4.0. Not really describing the time frame in which they need to do it, but at least starting to request that for the newer programs. If you can cycle to the next one, Nikhil. All right, so how do we deal with this, right? So let's start by looking into the upgrade programs, right? And if you are a new assessor, right, focus on getting into that process expert class. So now we can focus on just learning the model and not on having to worry about assessments. And then if you already have assessment experience, focus on picking up the extension trainings. So really the key is communicate with your OEM, clarify their expectations, and clarify the scope with the OEM about what their expectations are. So I think that really kind of covers it. That's the key. Get clarification with your OEM, work with them to define the scope for your organization. So let's take, we only have a short time, but let's take this quick poll. Have you received the request from your customer for 4.0? It gives us good information here. And then which extensions are you really interested in or that apply to your organization? And no worries from our side as we approach the 11:30 mark. I only have a couple more slides to really address, and they're just information that I can give to the organization, your organizations as we move forward. So if you can take the quick poll, we can move on to just a summary slide. Okay. Well, good. So it looks like we have a lot of the people that are attending that haven't been asked by their customer for 4.0, and cybersecurity seems to be at the top of the list. Potential analysis is on the list, but it's not something that a lot of people have been interested in. Nikhil, if we can move to the next slide, we can help close this out. So just in summary, the key is that get your leadership educated, perform a readiness review internally, confirm the transition requirement for your organization, then get a gap analysis done, and then work with a partner on the transition. And that'll help you make sure that you are compliant and moving in the right direction for 4.0. And I think we have 2 more slides really to cover, and that's just to make sure that that Omnex Systems is also working with an ASPICE helper. We're leveraging AI in the ASPICE work environment to help review some of your work products, and that'll help perform the analysis of the information items that ASPICE expects you to have. And it does it on a 100% basis using your criteria that you've developed within your organization. So if you're interested, reach out and we can provide you more information on that. And last but not least, this is we have other webinars coming up, and we'd like to make sure you guys are aware of those and that you can attend. So please subscribe to the series of webinars by checking out our LinkedIn page or subscribing through our website. And then you'll get the full list, and you'll be able to register and attend and even communicate with us and send notes about what you'd like to see. Last thing, don't forget that last year was the first year for our equivalent conference that they have in Europe, the VDA CIS conference. The NASPICE Conference 2026 has been scheduled for this year, 29th and 30th of September. Please reach out if you have questions, and we currently have the call for papers that is out and have a submission date of February 20th. You can reach out to Nikhil and myself if you have questions about this. And we look forward to seeing you there. And if you'd like a copy of our Omnex Pocket Guide, please send us a request and we'll ship you out a copy of the Pocket Guide. Best if you're asking for your organization, we could send you multiple books to your office. So Nikhil, I think that's our last slide. Apologize for being a couple minutes over.
No problem. And just in case, as Juan mentioned, if you have your action items in your list to become a process expert or a provisional assessor, we have the soonest training coming up on March 4th through 6th or 9th through 12th. And then we also have the Understanding ASPICE integration with IETF and ISO 26262 that's coming up in April. And then also cybersecurity, because I know a lot of people said cybersecurity, so we have that pulled up. So that's also coming up in April 20 through 24th. And of course, there's a long list. You follow the QR code or go to omnex.com. You can get the full list there. And with that, thank you to Ranjit and thank you to Juan. We appreciate you all joining us for this short webinar. I know there was a lot of material packed into 30 minutes, but we wanted to be mindful of your time, and we're trying to do shorter webinars with a lot more content packed into it. So hope you enjoyed. Please give us your feedback. Your feedback will be used to design the next set of webinars and what topics we deliver as well. So write to us. Have a great week ahead. Thanks.
All right. Thanks. Good to meet everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.